The team from Los Angeles Country Club had to battle back to win the Southern California Series over San Diego-based Fairbanks Ranch. When they found themselves down by 2 after 3 holes, the pro Jim Schaefer took control. An easy 4-foot birdie putt on the par 5 13th got him back to 1 down when everybody from Fairbanks missed their birdie attempts. And then after a marvelous 5-iron approach to the 14th, a 10-footer was all Schaefer needed for his 3rd birdie in a row to tie the match. But male amateur Scott Stevens from Fairbanks Ranch made a nice 30-footer for birdie on the very next par 3, and that put them 1 up one more time. With the pro from Fairbanks, Grant Strobel, already in close for a birdie try on the next hole, LACC's lady amateur Diane Irvin hit a nice 8-iron, her 2nd, to within 4 feet. When she made her birdie, the young pro missed his virtual tap-in, and the match was tied again. On the last hole, young lady amateur from Fairbanks, Kyle Safford, who'd been a dynamo in previous matches, had a chance to put the match away with a 4-footer for birdie. Nerves, pressure, you name it, we've all succumbed to it at one time or another, but the putt didn't go, and the two teams had to replay the hole. And when it was all said and done, the steady pars from the LACC team, all it took to seal the victory and send them on to Cabo to take on their opposite number from the north, Morgan Creek Country Club from Sacramento. The teams from the north have won the last 3 California Grand Championships. Can Southern California finally bring the trophy home? Or will it be the North to continue its dominance even down here in the Baja Peninsula? It's time for the TV Team Golf California Grand Championship from Cabo Real Golf Club in beautiful Cabo San Lucas. Hello and welcome to the Southern California TV Team Golf Championship Series. Welcome to Baja, California, and a very fine competitive championship match we've got planned for you today. We being yours truly, Tom Kelly, and the pro.
Andy Tooney for the PGA.
We've got a former great champion, and a very fine team from Northern California going against our current champions here in Southern California, the team representing LA Country Club. The man I speak of that's from the north is Mitch Thomas right here, a very fine player. He's now up at Morgan Creek. But take a look at this shirt I've got that I brought it back from Hollister, your old stomping ground.
Ridgemark, a lot of fond memories from there, Tom, and it's hometown for me, and I still love it there, and get back soon. Every chance I can, I go back.
That's where you learned how to tell the difference between a wedge and a driver, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah, and I'm still learning how to figure that out, you know.
Well, yeah, you brought a very competitive, very fine team, and the man to Andy's left over there has got our championship team for this year, and boy, can they play some. Jim Schaefer at LA Country Club.
Got a great team, Jimmy, and you know we haven't won this thing, that being from the south, in about the last 6 years. It was Glendora that won it about 5 or 6 years ago, so I expect big things out of the team from LA today.
Well, I think, Andy, we're going to be pretty competitive. We got some great partners, and I feel pretty good about playing today.
All right, and don't forget it's match play today, gentlemen. The northern team has not played match play yet, but South is used to it after the last couple of years.
You'll meet these fine amateur players in just a bit. The view over our shoulder gives you an idea of what a beautiful golfing venue this is. A note or two about the course.
Back 9 here at Cabo Real. It's a Robert Trent Jones layout. Opens with a par 5, finishes with a par 5, and a drivable par 4 in between. Should be a lot of fun.
I can promise you're in for a very fine show. Thank you for joining us. First tee's open. That's where we're going next. Well, we've met the pros, Andy. Let's go on and meet the rest of the team from Morgan Creek. Nice crowd, good players that Mitch has brought down with him.
Yeah, Mitch Thomas, their assistant and teaching professional there on the left. Laura Scholes in the middle. Here's Mitch, as we looked at Danny over on the right-hand side there. Does a lot of teaching. He tried his hand on the European Senior Tour, Tom, but it's a tough road to hoe out there, I guarantee you. But this guy can still play.
Yep.
And Danny Levine works for a payroll services company. Very good player. He's been on winning teams from the north in the past, and now he's over at Morgan Creek playing a little bit of golf there. Laura Scholes, their female amateur. What a nice lady she is, Tom.
Truly.
She works for a cancer research company and does a lot of other goodwill work as well.
She does indeed. A magnificent athlete, and I tell you, she doesn't resist a challenge no matter what the sport. But against a beautiful backdrop, we see the team from LA Country Club. Schaefer the pro, and these two cats with him can really play more than a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And Jim Schaefer's been their head pro there for a number of years now, Tom. He originally taught at Mountain Gate, and a very good player in his own right, and just a super guy, the perfect head professional for a big club like Los Angeles Country Club. And speaking of big, Dan Jennings here only stands about 6'7" or 8", I'd say. He's in the financial planning business and a many-time club champion there at Los Angeles Country Club. And their lady champion, Diane Irvin. Boy, can she play, Tom. She's a real estate attorney. Tried her hand on the LPGA for a couple of years and decided, you know what? It's more fun to play the game for fun.
Well, they can all play, make no mistake about it. We turn now to action on the 10th hole. We're playing the back nine. And here's Jennings from the right side of the green in his third shot.
Just a little pitch from about 40 yards and did a pretty nice job of that, Tom. About 6 feet left of the hole. This par 5 played a little bit downhill, but people had trouble getting it on the green in 2.
From Dan, we go to Danny, and here's Levine coming out of a greenside bunker. Oh, very nice, very nice.
Snuck it in his amateur counterpart there, so they'll both have a similar putt. This one longer, Tom, breaking a little bit left to right, I do think.
Oh, read it perfectly, Pro. Why can't you do that when we're out there playing? You read that beautifully.
Well, give me 3 or 4 shots. I can make it eventually.
3 or 4 tries at it.
There's more than just reading the putt to making the putts, you know.
All right, well, Dan's got his. Can Levine come back and counter with a birdie putt of his own? Hey, we're off to quite a start.
Yeah.
Birdie, birdie, the two Dans, Danny and Dan. Nicely done in this opening hole of the match between Morgan Creek and LA Country Club. And here's the Pro with Dan and Danny, and they talk about birdies. Andy, if you will, please.
Thanks, Tom. Well, Danny, it's been a long time since you and I talked on the putting green here. It's been a long time since you actually made a birdie on camera. And where's Jared, your son? He's usually with us.
Well, hopefully he's in school where he should be, right, bud? But yeah, it's nice to finally get a birdie and get a little conversation with you.
Well, I tell you what, there's a little pressure on you after Big Dan over here making his birdie putt, but you got a nice read from him.
I did,
Yep.
and then in match play, now it's a little easier. It's either in and we tie or miss, and so it gave me a little freer run.
Yeah, and you had a fairly free run because the Pro was in there fairly close, Dan, but not an easy putt. That had a little move from left to right there.
It did. I wanted to take a little pressure off our Pro Jim, and you know, I knew I had to make it because I figured Danny would make his. So.
Well, you haven't seen him putt before, have you?
First hole.
Right. Well, gentlemen, nice birdies. Mr. Kelly, back to you. On to the next one.
So with the match all square, we move along to the par 4, the 11th, 366 for the men, 323 for the women. And here's another look at some outstanding iron play. That uphill, that's a tough green to hit and tough to get it near the pin, Andy.
Nice pitching wedge from 111 yards from Mr. Dan Jennings. And now let's see what Mitch Thomas can do here from only 68 yards. Tom, this guy killed it off of the tee. He's not a big guy, but sure hits it a long way.
Yeah, he's really not a giant-sized guy except in personality. But, boy, I tell you, he can rip it. He got a little too much of that. That's I mean, he's way beyond it, and that is not really one of your, boy, I want to putt that baby for birdie down the hill. So, Andy, let's see how well the Pro from Morgan Creek does. Here's Mitch Thomas. Boy, this is through at least 1 or 2 time zones, this baby.
And he's all on his own, Tom. His other 2 players struggled here, and he's wise to at least get it past the hole because my philosophy is you see how it breaks when it goes by, you know how it breaks coming back.
You would at least have a clue, wouldn't you? Dan Jennings now from LACC. His try for birdie. That's a very good effort. Just slid by. They'll give him that. He can, that's conceded, so that's a par. These 2 teams came to this hole each with a birdie on the first try, so Mitch needs us now to keep the status quo. That's a nice 2-putt from where he was, Andy.
And a nice par save for the team. His partners were likely to make bogey there.
That's right. Okay. We move along now. We find the through 2 here. We're playing at Cabo Real, and the scenery is absolutely gorgeous. LA Country Club, Morgan Creek in our California Grand Championship match. Deadlocked, each is 1 under. The 12th hole is a par 3, elevated tee, of course, 200 yards for the men, 131 for the women. And that pin is just barely on that putting surface, Mr. Pro.
It's a little further back today, Tom, but it is going to play downhill into a bit of a crosswind, which is a bit of a conundrum. You always wonder, okay, how much is that wind going to affect this? And that's a 5-iron for Mitch, which he would normally hit about 190, I would think. So you pick up about 10 yards because of the downhill.
Can't get much better than that. What a beautifully struck ball, and what a great result.
Yeah, he's only got himself about 9 or 10 feet left for birdie. Tom did a great job of judging the distance.
His male amateur partner from Morgan Creek is Danny Levine.
Also a 5-iron from Danny. They hit the ball about the same with their irons. And that's going to be a little bit short, though. Danny has a tendency to hit a little bit of a fade. Mitch usually a little bit of a draw, and that can be a distance difference of about 10 yards.
What's Jim Schaefer got? He, too, with the 5-iron?
Oh, yes. 5-iron is the club of choice for most of the males in this particular 3-par. The ladies are playing a little bit shorter, but that's a little bit out on the right, hole high, but maybe 25 feet to the right.
He's getting a little bit better with each turn of the ball, but it's not going to turn that much. Dan Jennings from LA Country Club. Another 5-iron?
Another 5-iron, although you might think Dan would be hitting a 6, but I think he realized, oh, he didn't like that.
No.
He, maybe he thought that was too much club, and he tried to ease up on it, but that hung out way on the right.
That's right. Yeah. Well, so far, Mitch Thomas has hit the beautiful shot here in this par 3. We'll see how well he does with the flat stick. Laura Scholes, and what's Laura hitting? The women are playing this at 131, Andy.
8-iron for Laura, probably plays about 121 or 22, I would say, distance-wise, and right at it, but not quite enough club.
Just one big bounce short of being, it was right at the stick. It was, for direction, you couldn't have been much better. Meantime, Diane Irvin, and she too with an 8-iron?
No, she's hitting a 9-iron. And making a nice full swing there. I love her golf swing, very good swing playing, everything right on line, and she could have used a half a club more, perhaps.
Inches, maybe a foot away from being on the putting surface. So, at the corner bar at the Bahia Hotel, had a nice dinner there, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It was the pre-championship dinner for us there at the Bar Esquina, or corner bar at the Bahia Hotel in the heart of Cabo San Lucas. You know what? They only use locally grown organic produce, fresh fish from the Sea of Cortez, and the highest quality meats cooked on a mesquite grill there. Great little place, Tom. We had a fabulous time there last night, and our thanks go out to the proprietor, Lee Vosberg, and his wonderful staff for taking very good care of us.
I'd like to tell you all those people were there because Andy and I were there, but they were there when we walked in. It's a very popular spot.
Yes.
Okay, here's Jennings now. Couldn't make the putting surface, but trying a lengthy item with that flat stick, and boy, that's a pretty good roll from where he was.
Always reminds me of something a pretty good player by the name of Palmer told me. Your worst putt will be as good as your best chip. So you might as well putt it, kid. That would be Arnold Palmer.
Well, now, wait a minute. Did Paul Runyon subscribe to that theory? He didn't, did he?
Paul would chip from anywhere, but he was a very good chipper. Now, Danny probably should have chipped that one. He came through a little bit heavier apron area there.
We've got two sides to every story, no question about it. Laura Scholes from front of the green. She was using the flat stick, put a good roll on it, but look at it slide on by.
No point in being short. Mitch is in there pretty close, so you got to give it a go.
Diane ought to profit from that read, Andy. I would think it's going to go to her right.
Absolutely, and fairly level. Might just be a little bit downhill. Boy, she never got it far enough left, did she?
No.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't right on the same line, so maybe she didn't expect that big a thing. Some campers and hikers up there?
I think they're looking for a stray tee shot.
I've hit a couple up there, so did you. All right, here is Diane, and she taps it in, and that assures a par for the team from LA Country Club, and Jennings had it within about a foot, so he grudgingly picks up his coin. Now we'll see if Jim Schaefer can make birdie.
Little right to left, I'd say right around 20, 22 feet, maybe a little bit down grain.
Oh, boy. Now, does that make Mitch Thomas's putt about 10 feet longer?
Oh, it does indeed. I mean, he looks back at Mitch to say,
Boy, he's lucky Mitch didn't hit him with that flat stick as he went by, even though they
I think he realizes he stole one there. I think he's got a kind of a wry grin on his face there.
Well, come on, Mitch.
All right, this is a pretty straight putt. The Sea of Cortez is to his right.
Good putt.
And it never broke
will
left.
You quit? How can you do that to the man? Well, what it turns out to be, LA Country Club goes one up. Morgan Creek, they couldn't quite match that birdie effort from Jim Schaefer. We've played 3 here in this North and South confrontation. Here's Andy.